Howdy y'all! Don't know why I said that, that was weird. Hi! A few videos ago, I did a rather comedic vlog in which I told you guys about the weirdest and rudest customers I'd ever served back when I worked in a restaurant, and it seems like you guys really enjoyed it. Especially the use of the phrase nose jizz. I'll have to make a note of that. Must use more jizz in videos. Noted! So, since laughing about society's failures seems to be a pretty popular hobby on the internet these days, I thought I'd share with you guys some more stories of my own personal bad experiences, this time in school. I bet there are probably a lot of you out there maybe watching this that have ambitions to become teachers. In fact, several of my friends and family members are going into teaching, and you know what? Thank God for that! We need better teachers in this country. And I'm also guessing that there are a lot of people out there who think that your teachers were pretty much the worst you could get, right? Well, let's put that to the test. What I'm about to tell you demonstrates just how bad the English education system is in that A, the teachers don't actually give you the help and understanding you need to actually learn anything, and B, they don't follow the rules and they let students get away with absolute murder. Here are some true stories from my childhood that suggest that I probably shouldn't have any qualifications whatsoever. Firstly, I'm going to start with high school, and high school was such a letdown because when I first arrived there, I actually wanted to learn, but the way they taught, or didn't in most cases, was so unhelpful and demeaning that by the end of it, I just not only didn't understand anything half the time, but also just completely lost my will to learn. One story that always stuck in my mind was my physics coursework. Our physics teacher was a total stress head, and he only spoke at one volume, yelling. But he had a lisp, so he spat everywhere. There was always a fight over who was going to sit in the back row, because any closer than that and you were in the splash zone. But anyway, our physics coursework was basically a project where we were put into groups and we had to do an experiment, then change one parameter of the experiment, do it again, and then compare the results. So my group did our first experiment fine, but the next week I was off sick from school, so I missed the second experiment, so I had an incomplete set of results. I went to the teacher and explained what had happened and asked him if my group could do the second experiment again so I could get the results, even if it meant coming back after class. I didn't mind. And he said no, so I said, okay, well, why don't I take the results from the rest of my group, because the experiment would have gone exactly the same whether I've been there or not, so I can just take the result. It's not like it's cheating or anything, I can write the whole report myself. And he said no, so I was like, so what do I do then? And he was like, well, you'll just have to fail, won't you? So I got a U grade on my physics coursework because my teacher literally wouldn't let me do my work. What kind of education is that supposed to be? And that's just one example out of countless times where teachers just let me down and pretty much refused to give me help when I asked for it. So after a while, I just thought, you know what, fuck it, I don't care, literally, I'm just gonna coast along until I can finally get the fuck out of here, I'm done. So I ended up with a real attitude problem. I'll admit freely, I did basically no work after the age of about 12, and you probably think that because of that I failed my exam spectacularly, but that was the other problem with my school, they were too lenient. You could get away with anything and still get qualifications, it was ridiculous. One of the only things I enjoyed in high school was English class, because at the end of every school year, we had to write a huge presentation and then do it in front of the whole class. I like speaking in public, and I also enjoy writing too, so these talks were one of the very few things I actually put any effort into, and I usually got pretty good grades too. Not in the last year though. By the time I was 16, I really didn't give a crap about presentations, I just couldn't be bothered doing it. They probably should have gone through the register and made everyone do their talks in alphabetical order or something, just to make sure everyone definitely did it. But my teacher went more along the basis of, so, who fancies doing theirs then? Obviously volunteers were not enthusiastic, and I just thought, if I just hide out in the corner of the room and act like I'm not there, maybe she won't make me do it. That should not have worked. That teacher should have gone, oi, Ainsworth, quit moping and get up there. But she didn't, and I didn't have to do my presentation. I failed though, right? You can't not do a giant presentation and just get randomly awarded a passing grade. There's nothing to base the grade on. I got an A. I got an A for doing absolutely nothing. Total bullshit, honestly. I'd also like to point out the fact that I never studied for a single exam throughout the entirety of high school and still managed to come out with perfectly good grades. Go figure, don't ask me, I did nothing. This next story makes me look awful, but I don't mind because I'm using it as an example of why the education system needs to improve. I'll take the shit. Mock GCSE exams are intense, almost as intense as the real thing. You're placed in a depressing grey room that's completely silent except for the ominous ticking of an old clock, and you're just sitting there thinking, my entire future depends on what I write on this paper. Some of us didn't take it so seriously though, myself included. My morals had slipped so much in my time at school that I decided that I was gonna cheat in my maths mock exam. No, Shirley, that's not how you get good at life. Nevertheless, I went into the exam with a whole bunch of crib notes, which, if you don't know, are pre-prepared answers to questions that you know will be on the test that you've written on a piece of paper, or your skin, or anything that you can hide easily, which you've concealed on your person before you've entered the exam hall. I had a massive sheet of paper running the entire length of my arm that I tucked underneath the sleeve of my school jumper, and every time I didn't know the answer to a question, I would just pull a bit of the sleeve down, look at it, and then write down the answer as if nothing had happened. I should have got bollocked for that. I should have got disqualified the second any teacher noticed I was cheating. No one noticed. There were about 5 invigilators in the exam that day, all pacing up and down between the desks looking for signs of misbehaviour, and they didn't notice one girl right at the front of the class just suspiciously looking at her arm and then immediately writing the fucking answers down. I don't know why the teachers were there. I don't know why they were there. They did nothing. And that's just a small taste of my high school experience, which did absolutely nothing to prepare me for the future or teach me to actually work towards something instead of cheating my way to a victory that really wasn't a victory in the end. But college and university, they were better, right? I mean, higher education's full of teachers who love the subject and just want to help you grow as much as possible, right? Nah, it was the same. I remember during the first year of college, there was one assignment that I'd actually tried on. I actually remember exactly how it went. And right before the deadline, someone accidentally accessed my work and deleted the assignment. People forget how old I am, okay? This was before external hard drives and USB sticks were a thing that everyone used. I had no backup whatsoever. The whole assignment was gone, I had nothing to hand in. Again, just like the English presentation that I didn't do, that should have been a fail, or they could have given me an extension and I could do it again. Nah, they just gave me a distinction anyway. A distinction? That's the highest grade you can possibly get on a BTEC course. Why would they give me that for no reason? Oh my god. University, on the whole, was better than college and high school. However, there are 2 incidents that really pissed me off, because at that level, education should really be better than this. The first one was a completely inappropriate personal vendetta. One of our tutors was an awful woman who no one liked because she rarely showed us anything actually useful in class, except for one little pocket of students who for some reason loved her and just hung on her every word. You can probably guess which side I was on. And she gave us this huge essay to do, and this was in the first year of university, which is the only year in which you have to pass every single module. In the later years, if you fail something and your other grades are good, it would just balance out. But in the first year, if you failed something, you absolutely had to resit it, even if the rest of your grades were good. I finished the essay and showed it to a different tutor to ask what he thought of it, and he said it was pretty good and that I should get at least a 65 for it, if not higher, so I was pretty pleased with that. Handed it in and failed. By 1 mark. I had to spend half my summer resitting an entire assignment, which was a massive essay, for 1 mark. Are you kidding me? However, it quickly became apparent that almost every single person in that tutor's class had failed by just 1 or 2 marks, while that little pocket of people who liked her, they all passed with flying colours. So we all turned in perfectly good essays and got failed because she didn't like us. That is bullshit. You cannot be a favouriteist teacher who dishes out passes only to people who worship the ground you walk on. If an essay is good, it deserves a passing grade, end of story. And you know what really made it worse? The second essay I turned in for this resit was apparently way better than the first one I'd done, and it was at least worthy of an 80. Except all resits are capped at 40. So I put all that work into writing 2 very good essays and got a barely scraped pass out of it, and a mark on my record for having failed something in the first year. Thanks, teacher. I'm glad you were so professional and unbiased like all teachers should be. And here is the last story I'm going to share with you before I go and punch a wall. While teachers should not be favouritists, teachers also should not have double standards. I was so excited when for a week for our electronic music module, we got lectured on 8-bit, chiptune and game chiptune music and how it was becoming a valid genre in its own right. You can imagine how much I loved listening to our teacher talk about hacking Game Boys and underground chiptune music scenes and how that kind of music should be taken seriously in this day and age. He then gave us an assignment during which we had to take the vocals of a well-known pop song and then remix it into a completely different genre from the original, and it had to be electronic. So I thought, why not take advantage of the chiptune theme this week and turn it into an 8-bit chiptune-tastic 1989 Game Boy song. It had samples of Super Mario sounds and everything. And then I handed it in, and the same tutor that had given that lecture said, well, it's not bad, but it's chiptune, it's not commercially viable, no one would listen to that, and barely passed me. I literally don't understand it. He just said that chiptune was a valid genre of music and then docked loads of marks off me for doing exactly what he just said. You can't have double standards like that, it's one or the other. I'm done talking about education now, this is depressing. So, all you aspiring teachers of the world, this is the mess you have to clean up. This is why we need teachers who understand how kids think and actually want to help them stay passionate about learning, and for God's sake, keep the rules fair. Ugh, that's a large majority of my life I'll never be able to resit. Thanks for watching, everyone, and despite what I just said, stay in school and do everything you can to defy the odds and be the very best like no one ever was. That's Pokemon. Bye!